So how has the media factored into this crisis of confidence we're discussing tonight? Howard Kurtz is host of Media Buzz right here on FNC, which airs on Sunday mornings. Howie, how has it?
Well, Megan, a few days ago, there were a lot of stories, including a pretty tough piece in the New York Times saying President Obama blatantly contradicting what he said repeatedly in the past, that he was not an emperor. Boom, 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 let's go to the videotape. But then the White House spin machine kicked into action, and by Friday morning, headline in the same New York Times said, Obama's action has precedent, but also may set one, meaning that the president's pushback had resulted in making the story into a he said, she said, and that's a win for the White House.
Am I right that it doesn't become a real issue politically unless you have all of the media doing their job? The president didn't come out and admit he had misled on if you like your plan, you can keep your plan, until a national firestorm erupted.
I think that's absolutely true. And, you know, if you're a Republican, those voices are being heard. I've seen a lot of Ted Cruz and John Boehner on TV, but a lot has to do with the tone and the framing of stories. most journalists actually think immigration reform is a pretty good idea, in fact, overdue. And so instead of the howls of outrage you would have if it was, say, George W. Bush unilaterally imposing Social Security privatization, you have stories that say Republicans say it's outrageous. And that's a very important tonal difference.
But that's not their job. I mean, I don't think... It is not opinion, and I felt this way when we had if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. We were one of the first to come out and say, that's not true. What he said was not true. He said, period. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan, period. Well, that's not true. And that's not opinion, that's fact. And more media, that's not taking a position, that's just telling the audience the facts, which is the same thing now with the 25 times over the past 6 years, and that's just what we found on camera. He has said X, and now he comes out there last night and says, not X, not X. Why aren't people jumping up and down about that? Why isn't there another story in the New York Times today, and another story, and the other news organizations calling him out on a lack of integrity or at least a lack of explanation?
That is what is missing, what I call the media drumbeat, because when the press is really ticked off about something, and particularly we hate flip-flops and we hate when politicians seem to do something very different than they said they were going to do, then it's a story that we drive. There's a narrative. And instead it's now become kind of a complicated process story. And, you know, we need to be fair to all sides, but you're right. The drumbeat that you might have seen in other circumstances is absent.
And it's just near you because they like what he's doing. They like the end result of what's going to happen to these immigrants.
I don't think a lot of journalists like the process or the fact that the president is acting unilaterally. They would prefer to see, you know, the Senate compromise get passed by the House and all of that. But I do think they like the end result. And
do they know what's going to happen when a Republican goes into the Oval Office and tries to do this stuff? Aren't they waiving their right to criticize him or her for similar behavior?
Being in the media means you never have to say you're sorry. No, don't jump up and down that. But of course, it sets a precedent for future presidencies. And, you know, we saw the exact same pattern here with those Jonathan Gruber videos on Obamacare, where, you know, first 3 days, it was a big story on Fox and some other outlets, crickets, and on the broadcast networks, the big newspapers. But then 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, CBS, Washington Post, New York Times,
only because tapes kept coming out. If that had just been a couple of tapes, they would have ignored it. It got to the point where he was unignorable. But I don't know. I've grown to like him because I've seen so much of him. I don't know. He's given me a lot of fodder for the show.
It's a story. NBC and ABC didn't even do it till this week, and they twist themselves into a pretzel. Well, newly surfaced videos have created furor. Well, no, they're not newly surfaced. They came out 8 days ago.
Right, and day by day, drip by drip. Howie, great to see you. See you Sunday.
Same here.